Okay, I think we are ready now to begin. So I would like for everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies, gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow citizens, good evening and welcome to this pivotal moment in our civic engagement, Candidates Night, organized by the Chillicothe-Ross County League of Women Voters. I'm Robin Brewster, and I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as the president of the Chillicothe-Ross County League. Tonight we gather not just as spectators, but as active participants in the democratic process that shapes the future of our beloved city. In the spirit of transparency, accountability, and informed decision-making, we have invited candidates from across the city, including those vying for the esteemed position of mayor and the crucial seats of city council. These individuals have stepped up and forward to lead, to represent, and to serve our diverse community. Tonight, we have the opportunity to hear directly from them, to understand their visions, priorities, and plans for our city. Those candidates in attendance tonight are, for mayor, we have Jade Beery running as an independent. We also have Luke Feeney running as a Democrat. For president of city council, we have Kevin Shoemaker running as a Democrat. Council at large, on the Democratic ticket, we have Gunnar Barnes, Dustin Prohl, and David Tapman. He could not be here tonight. He had originally planned and called today. It was an emergency. And on the Republican side, we have Jeff Creed, we have Allison Henderson, and Anthony Phillips. And our first ward council, we have Ruth Teeters on the Democrat side. Second ward, we have Christina Arredondo, sorry about that, on the Democratic side. Third ward, we have Deidre Nickerson, and she's on the Democratic side. The fourth ward, we have Steve Barnes on the Republican side, and John Thacker on the Democratic ticket. And fifth ward, we have Julie Thacker with us tonight. She's running on the Democratic ticket. Greg McKeever planned to be here. He's running on the Republican ticket, but had an emergency. And in the sixth ward, we have Jamie Brown with us tonight on the Democratic ticket, and Daniel Dement had an emergency. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming. The League of Women Voters has a long-standing commitment to promoting civic engagement and ensuring that every voter has access to the information needed to make informed decisions. In this pursuit, we have organized this Candidates Night to provide a platform for dialogue where we can hear firsthand the perspectives of those seeking to lead our city. As we embark on this evening of discussion and discovery, let us remember the importance of a vibrant democracy. It is not only about choosing leaders, but fostering a community where everyone's voice is heard and valued. So, without further ado, I'm going to let the 2023 Candidates Night begin, and Bart Henshaw is going to pick up where I leave off.
Thank you very much, Robin. Just a little bit of housekeeping. This is a return to a format we've used for many, many years. The candidates are divided into 4 different groups, and when their group is called and asked to come forward, they will sit up here near the podium. As they came in, they were assigned a number, which will be the order in which they'll speak, and each of them has 90 seconds to make a statement, and then they will be asked a question by our group of panelists on the our question panel. And if you would raise your hand as I say, David Glass, Donna Meyer, Sophia Fulkerson, and Margaret Planton. And so these folks are asking questions tonight, and we appreciate your time very much. So if Group 1, which will be Ruth Teeters, Christina Arredondo, Deidre Nickerson, Steve Barnes, and John Thacker, come on up and have a seat toward the front so that you can have access to the podium a little more quickly. If we had known the people who were going to be out tonight, we would have divided the groups differently, because we're going to have a group of 5 and then a group of 2, but that's okay. Everybody will have the same opportunity. Yeah, you've got spaces over there. You can, it doesn't matter. There's spaces. There's no group bigger than 5, so there are 5 seats up here, and you can sit. There you go. Okay, I think that the person in this group that has the first speaking opportunity is John Thacker. If you would please come to the podium. And there is a timer in front of you, and they are going to look up at you and say go, okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm. And may I know who that is? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your invitation here. I'm glad to speak to you folks. I'm a product indirectly of the east side of Chillicothe. My father worked at Mead Paper Company and lived in what is now the 4th Ward. I'm sorry. How's that doing? Sorry about that. Now I feel a little like Daniel going into Lion's Den after having started. However, no, it will sound too rehearsed if I do that. But I am a product of the East Side. Although I never lived here until about 4 years ago. Steve is, of course, a lifelong resident, and that's great. But you know what? It only took me 4 years to learn everything. So again, my father lived in I think a boarding house on what was probably North Rose Street, no longer there. And at some point, we never figured out how I met my mother, who lived in the now what is the 6th Ward on East 4th Street. And so they got together, and ultimately it is to honor them that I'm running in the East Side, to make sure that, as Jamie would perhaps know, Jamie Brown, who's the current 6th Ward council member, that if you take 4 and 6 and add them, you end up with a 10. Thank you.
Just stay where you are. Just stay where you are. Okay, thank you very much. And I think we have a question from the panel.
Great. First of all, I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Thacker, and all the candidates up here tonight who have tossed their hat in the ring and who are stepping out to be leaders in their community. Also, thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing this opportunity for all the candidates to speak. A growing concern among citizens of Chillicothe is the homelessness population. And while many citizens, I think, recognize there are complex issues to this problem, and please, I take caution in categorizing individuals, but the impact of an increase in homelessness and a worsening problem around its impacts are clear, evident, and really universally a negative indicator to the vibrance and health of a community. While there's no silver bullet to this these issues because, you know, issues like drug abuse and other factors are actions that impact this, but there may be legislation and opportunities to address the issues that are impacting safety and public health. Issues such as squatting, litter, drug abuse, drug dealing, public urination, defecation, intoxication through law enforcement and legislation. Do you or would you support legislation to address these public health and safety issues in places our children, visitors, and general public are meant to enjoy, such as the city parks? If not, what alternatives may be considered in the near term to address these urgent and worsening issues?
Well, in a word, no. I would not demonize people who are unhoused. I would try to find solutions, whatever that might entail, that the city can help with, in addition to faith groups, other organizations within the city. It's a little bit loaded question, but I will try to be quick. I don't think that you can look at a person who is unhoused and automatically assume that they commit crimes, that they do things. It may be more likely to, but I'm sorry, I don't buy that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second speaker will be Ruth Teeters, a candidate for First Ward Council.
Better put my glasses on. It's an honor to be with you here today, and I love seeing all the smiling faces out there. I decided to run for City Council for 3 reasons. Earlier this year, I became very curious about City Council members, or council meetings, and decided to attend some council meetings. After attending those meetings, it became apparent to me that some of the current city council members had forgotten who they work for. They work for their ward, and they work for the citizens of Chillicothe. Once elected to city council, they should be one team working together for Chillicothe, and I would love to be part of that team. Secondly, if I'm elected to city council in the first ward, I will encourage everybody in the ward and everybody in Chillicothe to use their voice for democracy, use their voice to vote, use their voice to bring kindness and respect back to city council meetings, and use their voice to be part of the solution of making Chillicothe even a stronger city. And finally, to make this happen, I hope to convene neighborhood gatherings at least 2 or 3 times a year, or at more as needed, and listen to the residents' issues so that we can work together.
Finish your sentence. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So that we can work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay there. Ruth, stay up there so that you can get a question. Okay. We'll get there. All right. Question for Ruth.
Thank you, Ms. Teeters. Actually, you already answered one of the questions that I was going to ask you, so I will ask a different one. What issue is most urgent in your ward, and how would you address it as a member of council?
I would say, and I can't say I've heard this from a lot of people, but in the wards that I would hope to be serving, safety as far as cars speeding, probably going too fast in the neighborhoods, and I see a lot of people who put out signs trying to remind people there are kids in that neighborhood and to slow down. And then kind of with that situation, people parking on the streets, that's also a safety issue. So those are the 2 things that I've heard kind of more than once. So addressing it would be something where we'll use our voices to make solutions happen.
Thank you very much, Ruth. It's Ruth Teeters, candidate for Council First Ward. The third speaker is Christina Arredondo. Christina is a candidate for Second Ward.
Good evening. My name is Christina Arredondo, and I am running for Chillicothe City Council Second Ward. I want to start by saying that I believe active representation in our community is what creates positive outcomes. As a second ward representative, my primary goal would be to make sure that the people that I represent know who I am, and that they would feel comfortable speaking to me about any and all of their concerns. As I thought about what I wanted to say this evening, I reflected on my years of being a counselor in the community. One of the things that I know is that people want to be heard. People want to feel respected and to know that they have a voice in the decisions that are being made about them, so that they know they are a valued member of our community. As an established advocate in Chillicothe, I have the experience and the knowledge to collaborate with our community members to make sure that they are heard. I will do this by focusing on solutions for their concerns while working with the other city leaders to work on more complex issues. Recently, I read an article on Cleveland.com that discussed our World Heritage designation, downtown revitalization, and the small town charm of Chillicothe. This article made me think about other opportunities that we have to make this city a model of growth, wellness, and equality for all citizens. As a lifelong citizen of Chillicothe, I know that we have the ability to continue finding solutions and making this town an example of what is possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stay right there, and we'll have a question for Christina.
Yes, I would just like to ask, what will be your greatest contribution to the council if you are elected?
Okay. Well, first of all, I have been working in this community as an advocate for the last 5-6 years. I understand some of the underlying issues at a deeper level than some other people may. When it comes to the unhoused issues, what I see is a lot of mental health. And I would want to see our community come together to find actual solutions for people. When it comes to adding extra legislation for this, I believe as a community we are great enough to come together and find a solution that doesn't make it harder for people to get into housing or to get help. So bringing that knowledge and that experience to the table, maybe finding some really good solutions that we can hopefully have other communities duplicate. That's what I would like to see.
Thank you very much. Christina Arredondo, candidate for 2nd Ward. Deidre Nickerson is candidate for 3rd Ward Council.
Hey, everybody. I am so thrilled to be here tonight in front of you all, uncontested. So my words of wisdom. I've been on council for 4 years, and it's really been a pleasure to serve. I know when I was elected 4 years ago, our greatest challenge at that time was converting 2nd Street to a two-way street. We have many more challenges and many more opportunities ahead of us with this designation of World Heritage. I come to you tonight because I think it is imperative that we work together. We have to come together to be prepared for this tremendous honor. We need to be prepared for the influx of people. We need to be prepared for the transition for local residents. It will be challenging. And we have to roll up our sleeves and work together and come to these decisions in the future.
Thank you very much, Deidre. Now, question?
Do you think that the city has enough nuisance enforcement to handle complaints?
I think that we have made big strides in that. I know that we've recently hired a full-time nuisance officer, and I know that we're getting more funding in our police department to be able to handle that as we continue to grow. Is that good?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Deidre Nickerson, candidate for 3rd Ward Council, and Steve Barnes. Steve Barnes is a candidate for council, 4th Ward.
Hi, I'd like to say good evening to everyone and thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me. My name's Steve Barnes. Like we were talking, John, there, I'm a lifetime resident of the 4th Ward. I'm currently serving as the 4th Ward council person. Was appointed in February of this year. Before that, I'd been retired a few years and had spent 25 years prior to that on the city fire department and made it to the position of assistant chief. One of the things I decided when I was appointed was that a lot of my neighbors have questions and concerns about quality of life problems, like the pothole in front of their house or the abandoned house down the street, or little quality of life is what I call them, issues. And I shared my phone number, my email address, my home address on brochures and things to pass out. And I started getting calls. And come to find out, a lot of my neighbors just didn't know who in the city to contact. And I had the advantage of knowing that there's a department in the city to take care of about any problem. It's just a matter of taking care of the problem, getting the problem reported to the right people. So I like to make myself very open to the public, and I guess there's my time. So yeah, I make myself open to the public, and I invite questions, phone calls, such. Thank you.
No, stay right there. Stay right there. You're going to have a question. Thank you very much.
I tried to get away.
Okay. Question?
Steve, issue 2 will appear on the ballot this November, and this isn't a broad position on whether you support it or not, so we'll keep it focused on the issues here. But if passed, it would legalize the sale and use of recreational marijuana. With so much community-led efforts supporting youth drug use prevention, such as MAID and the Buck 50, and an incumbent and worsening drug use epidemic in our community, it seems like we may have some challenges to wrestle with around law enforcement, and if that were to pass. I would have a question that would be, do you believe that local law enforcement is equipped to handle the challenges in enforcing age restrictions and operation of a motor vehicle while under the influence? And would you support legislation by way of a city ordinance to restrict and enforce that restriction in use of public places or around children and family-friendly settings?
Well, I certainly would. You know, it's about like alcohol. It can't be sold to children. It's, you know, prohibited, and it's a very, it's an offense. And so, yeah, we need to protect our children. But as far as the law enforcement, I believe they're probably pretty well trained on, you know, doing investigation and determining who's impaired while driving. I've got quite a bit of faith in them. And, but yeah, we definitely as adults and mature people, we need to make sure that our children are safe from any type of danger, and that includes everything from marijuana to cigarettes to alcohol and so on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. If Group 1 would go ahead and return to their seats, thank you very much, all of you. We appreciate your participation in this process. And I'm going to ask Julie Thacker and Jamie Brown to come forward. You now compose Group 2. It wasn't originally designed that way, but it's okay. Everybody gets the same amount of time. So if you would have a seat, I think actually, Julie, you can come on up to the podium because you had the lowest number in that group.
That's a good thing. Hi, thank you, Bart and League of Women Voters, for having us here this evening. I'm Julie Thacker. I'm running for 5th Ward. I, too, am almost a lifelong resident of the 5th Ward. I've lived in 4 or 5 neighborhoods there. I'm running for City Council because I do love that neighborhood. I have great memories there, and I know how strong that neighborhood can be. It houses schools, churches, well, not a school now, but there are, there's a lot going on there, and it's a very diverse neighborhood, and I'm going to be there for my people and for all the citizens of Chillicothe. I want to be elected to council. I think we need to work together, and I think that's what I can bring to the table, working with other people. My husband and I run a small business. I have people skills, not speaking skills, but I would just encourage people to feel free to talk to me. I'm available. I'm downtown almost every day, which is next to the 5th Ward, and I could be the person to represent us, and I think I do a great job.
Stay put, Julie. Stay put. Okay. Julie will get a question now.
So Julie, as a council member, how do you plan to prepare citizens for the increase in tourism that's going to come with being a World Heritage Site?
That's a good question, Donna. I personally have been learning about what opportunities are going to be brought to us with this UNESCO site. I'm doing some volunteering and some reading, and I'm also I would be a great tour guide because a lot of our visitors come into our store. So the more I know, the more I can make this a successful venture for everybody in the county. I think it's a great opportunity, and that we all need, or I need, to just do my research and attend some meetings and really get behind this.
Thank you very much, Julie. Julie Thacker, candidate for 4th Ward. I'm sorry, candidate for 5th Ward. Jamie Brown, candidate for 6th Ward Council.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamie Brown, and I'm here to ask for your support this November to remain the 6th Ward Council member. I'm going to keep it simple for you all. I'm calling it the 3 Ps. It's on my literature outside in the hallway. People, principles, prosperity. I'm committed to serving people first. I spent most of my adult life working blue-collar jobs in kitchens and restaurants and customer service. I spend my professional life now serving youth through job development and workforce training. I know people, and I am inspired to help folks reach their fullest potential. Everything I know about principles, I learned from my pastor when I was a teenager in high school. I was dating his daughter, and so my pastor had lots of interest in developing my character. I learned a lot from him, but the most important lesson that I took from him, and I keep it with me to this day, is what he taught me about public service. There's only one rule to service people, and that's to show up. So I appreciate everyone in this room for showing up, and showing up is crucial to my Christ-centered philosophies. I have a unique authority to speak to prosperity. I've lived in a house with dirt floors. I was born to 2 high school dropouts, and I made my way out of extreme poverty. I know what prosperity looks like from the bottom up, and I'm excited to work with folks to develop meaningful policies that raise people out of poverty. I want to thank you all so much for coming out tonight, and I'm grateful for your time and attention and participation in this democratic process, and I do look forward to your support this November to remain the 6th Ward City Council rep.
Thank you, Jamie. Just stay there. We're going to have a question.
Council is a legislative body. Do you think that the population of your ward understands how long it can take for legislation to be enacted? And also, do they understand the role that they play in it? And how might you help explain this to them?
I am going to be very singular focused on every question I answer tonight. I think the short answer is I don't believe people are aware of the power and ability in their participation in the process. And I think a big part of that is because we live in communities that do not have positive youth development. One of the biggest problems facing our community, and in southeastern and Appalachian Ohio, we call it prime age employment. And I think that's indicative of that social issue, which is we do not engage with youth. What we do is we throw them in school, and when they're done, we call them adults, and then we're finished. I think that translates into a disconnect later on in life in terms of civic responsibility or an understanding of their ability to affect change in their own communities.
Thank you very much. Jamie Brown, candidate for City Council, 6th Ward. If Group 3 would come forward, this would be Allison Henderson, Gunnar Barnes, Jeff Creed, Tony Phillips, and Dustin Prohl, all who are candidates for at-large seats on council. There are 6 candidates for City Council at large, and there are 3 positions that will be filled. The first person, and he's already there, he knows that, Tony Phillips. Thank you very much.
Thank you, good evening. You'll see my sign say Anthony Phillips, but I go by Tony. I'm currently serving as an at-large member on my first term. I've raised my family in this city. I've been here for 26 years as a chiropractic physician, a holistic doctor. When I was asked to run a number of times over the past several election cycles, it was always a no, had no interest. But like a lot of people, in recent years, with some of the things that we're seeing in our country and the direction, I felt it was time to step up and provide some of my leadership skills. And I believe that the things that we're seeing on a national level that are knocking on our door, I believe change starts in local government. I want to apply my strong conservative values. Lots of great things are coming. The World Heritage, some of the grant money coming from the federal grant for the Appalachian counties, and I want to be a part of that. I do believe that I've earned the respect on City Council from both sides of the aisle, and I believe I possess the qualities to bring people together, and I would like a chance to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, a question from the panel.
How can council impact long-range planning to avoid Western Avenue becoming another Bridge Street?
Well, that's a very specific question with a skill set of some engineer that might be up here, but I'm not that person. But I think and I know we have a current situation where there's a zoning issue where the Chipotle might be coming in. As many of you may or may not know, those zoning issues are out of City Council's control. That being said, we've already had some investment in that road project. Those road projects are down 50, are implemented through state funding. But I think it's important moving forward that we establish participation from citizens to really look at zoning laws from this point forward. We can't change what's in the past, but you know, when people get involved, things change. When rooms are filled, things change. And so I think we need to look at zoning and other private investment. That's a start. That's a tough one.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's Tony Phillips, candidate for at-large council. Okay, it looks like to me that the next person is Jeff Creed. Are you number 2?
That's all right. Good evening. My name is Jeff Creed. I am the retired fire chief for the city of Chillicothe. I spent 32 years of service there, the last 8 years as fire chief. Prior to becoming your fire chief, I was in the United States Army, and I retired as a lieutenant colonel. The Army taught me how to do long-term planning and budgeting, taught me problem solving to include assess the problem, develop a solution, and then implement that solution. During Desert Storm as the military police company commander, we used that to escort 30,000 prisoners of war with only 4 vehicles organic to our unit. In Afghanistan, as a military police battalion executive officer, we transformed an unsecure, unsafe, unsanitary detention facility in Bagram Air Base to a quality facility that was used for years after. The DA assessment team came through, looked at our facility, and took me with them to Iraq to help them assess facilities and give recommendations in that theater of operations as well. So when I became the chief, I decided to use that experience and knowledge and skills to develop a 40-year capital budget plan for the Chillicothe Fire Department. We were able to buy a squad with cash for the first time in about 15 years, and that fund now has $700,000 in it. I also helped lead the safety levy campaign back in 2015 because there were low staffing in the police and fire departments, and worked with the police department to consolidate police and fire dispatch, which decreased dispatch times and increased emergency responders on the street. Given the opportunity, I would like to do that for the entire city, to do the long-term planning and budgeting, and also increase our police and fire departments.
Thank you. Stay right there. You're going to have a question. Thank you.
Well, Jeff, my question was actually going to be about long-term planning, but I think you answered that, and Ms. Planton did ask a question about that as well. So I'll move on to another. It's been mentioned tonight, the opportunity that we have and many of the great things happening with private development in downtown Chillicothe, but unfortunately, outside of Chillicothe, in many ways, we have a negative reputation that precedes us when it comes to crime. You know, you look up a headline of Chillicothe, and often we still see the missing women or crime or drugs. And in fact, according to FBI statistics, we have a higher crime rate per capita than Cincinnati, Columbus, or Cincinnati, or Cleveland, excuse me. And in fact, in Columbus, we have twice the rate. So my question is, we know all first responders have an increase in calls, and we have an understaffed police department. So what do you believe, if elected or reelected, what would you do to address rising crime or to give law enforcement the tools that they need to support and manpower that they need to effectively address these issues?
Well, I'll go back to long-term planning as kind of the initial thing. If you do that, you can focus where you're spending your money and not spend money where you shouldn't be spending it. So spending money on the priorities. The other thing is that we recently got a grant, I think in the last year and a half, for 8 new police officers. That will expire in 2 years. Our goal will be to find the money through that long-term planning to keep those 8 officers there once that federal grant goes away. If we're able to do that, get those people trained, get them out on the street, and instead of becoming reactionary, which is what we are right now because we're so low staffed, to become proactive. Be out in our community, be out working with the people in the community, and finding those drugs that are out there, finding the criminals, and become a hard target so they will go somewhere else. We don't want them in our community, we don't want them in our state, but absolutely, we can do something within our community to make our community safer. And then especially World Heritage coming in, we want to look like a shining example of what Ohio is. So that's how we would get there.
Thank you very much. Jeff Creed. The next speaker will be Allison Henderson.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I am a private practice optometrist. Together with my husband, we co-own Clearsight Vision, located in an historical downtown building, which we restored 3 years ago. My husband grew up on the East End, graduated from Chillicothe High School, and then spent 21 years in the military. We have a daughter who attends Ross County Christian Academy and also swims for the YMCA Marlins. My senior year at Waverly High School, I actually attended Ohio University Chillicothe campus. I then went on to University of Toledo, where I received my bachelor's in biology with a minor in chemistry, and then attended Southern College of Optometry for my optometry doctorate. In addition to the first term that I've served on City Council, I've had leadership experience as a zone governor for the Ohio Optometric Association, as a former vice president for the Waverly and Southern College of Optometry Alliance clubs. I've also served 6 years on the Scioto Society. On City Council thus far, as a team, we have secured funding for the sewage treatment plant. We have updated nuisance laws. We have begun extensively evaluating spending and holding to the promise of supporting our police and fire departments. I'm running for at-large to represent the city as a whole and continue the progress that we've made to make our city a safer, more desirable place to live, to work, and to play.
Thank you very much. Question?
Ms. Henderson, do you believe that the unsheltered population is a problem in our community, and how would you suggest addressing this issue?
So I actually agree with a friend. I would consider her a friend and a colleague. Do I consider them a problem? No. However, they do have to have resources. Having those resources available to them, I think, is the problem. For example, having mental health court, that is something that this community needs to work additionally on, that I think will help tremendously, and it also allows them areas to live and to be able to be safe, housed, have food, etc.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And the next speaker for at-large council will be Dustin Prohl.
Hi there, I'm Dustin Prohl, and I'm running for City Council at large. And I just wanted to clear something up before we got started. According to the program tonight, I am on the Democrat side. According to the Chillicothe Gazette, I'm on the Republican side. I'd just like to let you all know I'm actually just on Chillicothe's side, as always. And so I will tell you some of the things that I have done and try to do that as fast as possible. I'm Dustin Prohl, and I'm running for Chillicothe City Council at large, and I'm a teacher and father of 2 girls. And I'm running because our kids matter. They deserve a city that is safe and full of opportunities. And I have served on council since 2007. And in that time, we have survived a recession. We have rebuilt the downtown. We have replaced streets and water lines all over the city. We've placed sidewalks down Western Avenue, down Woodbridge to make walking traffic safer. I've stood up to the drug problem by purchasing an armored vehicle, hiring additional police officers and firefighters, and requiring that meth labs be cleaned up. I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm excited about what we will do in the future. And I'm Dustin Prohl, and I would appreciate your vote this year for City Council at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Stay right there for a question.
What do you find to be a roadblock for the infrastructure development of Chillicothe, and how do you plan to navigate this should you serve on council?
A roadblock to infrastructure, probably the roadblock to most things that we deal with in the city is money. How much money do we have to spend on anything? Infrastructure, we also, just in that one part, we're talking about a city that's very old. I was told once by one of the water department workers that they dug up a wooden pipe. And so that's pretty old. Those of you that know that when we were cleaning up the water situation in Hesswood Hills, for years there was a problem where the water was yellow because of the pipes that were used at that time. To replace the pipes, we had to dig them up, but they're under the street, which was made out of concrete. So you run into a situation where sometimes you have a lot of odds stacked against you. But what we did to fix this problem was we took money from street repair, we took money from our water repair, and we used both of those to try to find some synergy, to try to make sure that both hands know what they're doing, so that when we are doing these repairs, we're not going to waste the valuable resources, because like I said, money is in short supply, and finding a way to get as much bang for a buck is what we're trying for. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. And Gunnar Barnes will be the 5th candidate for at-large speaking. I think that Tanya's got a really hard job there to try to keep that up. Thank you, Gunnar
everyone.
Barnes.
My name is Gunnar Barnes. I am running for City Council at large to keep the positive momentum of the city moving forward, and I absolutely love this town. I know what everybody here is probably thinking, isn't this guy a little too young to be run for City Council? Well, I'm 31, so I'm not too old, but I ain't that young anymore either. Follow-up, you guys are probably all thinking, what does this guy know about helping to run a city? I'm glad you guys are thinking that. I have helped the city and this community do a lot of things behind the scenes with my photography and videography work. I help with the marketing of the recycling program, has greatly helped our community reduce its carbon footprint. I've helped with nonprofit groups such as Hope Partnership Project by helping capture the voices of those in recovery, tell their stories through photos and articles written by our local journalists. I've worked as a consultant for the Chillicothe VA by doing photography and video projects to help them get grants and improve their facilities for our veterans. I've helped with marketing for Chillicothe's first ever Brew Fest this year that was put on by Downtown Chillicothe, and it brought in a lot of visitors to our small town. And I also helped with the Ross County Parks District by helping them with marketing for the Parks Levy that passed in 2019. That was greatly revitalized our beautiful parks and bike path. And not to toot my own horn, but I've been on the phone book for covered 3 years, and I know how to brew a good beer.
Thank you very much. Do we have a question for Gunnar Barnes?
How can council best work with the Ross County Tourism Bureau to prepare for the many visitors from out of state and out of country?
That's a very good question. I think one of the main goals of that is to develop a very good marketing team for the city. There's like a lot of like-minded people in this town who just want the exact same thing I think all of us do want, is to put our city on the map. With the World Heritage Site becoming a real thing, I think we can work with the tourism group in bringing in like just different marketing ideas. Like I said, I'm 31. I know there's a lot of other people in here who are a little bit older than me, and there's a couple people in here who are a little bit younger than me. But I think if we all work together and get a good marketing team developed probably sooner rather than later, we'd be steps ahead by the time the World Heritage Site people start coming in here.
Thank you very much. And I had made a comment to the at-large that we might ask a second question, but I think for the sake of time, we're going to let you take your seats. You can say you're done. Thank you very much. And we're going to bring the last group. Now we will, with this group, Jade Berry, Luke Feeney, and Kevin Shoemaker, ask them after they've presented to stay there for a question, but then we will ask them a second question also. This is a small group, and I think that Jade already knows that she is.
Hello, my name is Jade Berry. I'm actually not originally from Chillicothe. I am a Oakland, California native. I have several years of moving and having experience with different organizations. The simple question, why am I running for mayor of Chillicothe? I tried to come up with some packaged answer, but the truth is, when you love something and love someone, you do whatever it takes to protect it. And from the moment I stepped into Chillicothe in 2017, I fell in love with it from the very moment that I stepped in front of the Majestic. I spent 2 years praying for Chillicothe before I ever got here. And when I arrived, I started seeing the things that I had prayed for this city already in motion. I believe I'm the best person for the job simply because I have invested in this community from top to bottom. I have homeschooled my children, 5 children for 11 years. I'm a small business owner here in Chillicothe. I work closely with organizations that already address many of the areas that we deal with, problems that we deal with here in Chillicothe as far as recovery goes. Working with single mothers, I've already been in all of those veins. I'm on 6 boards in Chillicothe already, working closely with many people that you see here already running for council. I believe in the same thing that we all believe in. If we work together, we can do just about anything. Chillicothe is full of brilliant, brilliant minds, and I truly believe that I'm a conduit for unity for us and that I can step into a position with confidence and security. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Stay right there. You have a question.
Thanks, Ms. Berry. So my question's about long-range planning, specifically financial and capital planning. And so city water customers saw their rates rise significantly, which proponents of the rate increase said needed to be done due to years of deferred maintenance and inadequate staffing. One of the things that's been addressed tonight is the need for better planning. And so my question is, how do you believe we should prioritize city capital investments and maintenance expenditures And how much should we include and emphasize that formal long-range plan into making policy decisions in City Council and as mayor?
I'm actually, honestly, a multi-generational thinker. I think that you don't utilize only the people that are at the helm currently to try and solve future problems. I honestly think we need to wrap in the high school and college level thinkers in order to think full force, forward thinking planning, to think what that's going to look like financially, because they're already on the process of thinking of what those plans, what the issues that we're going to take on looks like moving forward. And I honestly think that collaboration with people who are thinking already about the systems that we're going to face in the future, the financial issues that we're going to face in the future, while collaborating with people who are already in that context in administration.
Thank you very much. Now, what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and have a seat, but then we're going to call you up for another question later, okay? And our second speaker who is running for mayor is Luke Feeney.
Good evening. My name is Luke Feeney, and I have the great honor of being the mayor of the city of Chillicothe, and I'm running for re-election. As mayor and before that as auditor, I know where we have been, and I know the hard work we've put in to go where we're going. We have pulled ourselves out of fiscal caution. We have made incredible improvements to infrastructure, investment, and planning, and we've increased funding for safety services like police and fire. And together, we crafted our first community comprehensive plan in 70 years. We went from being a community that was living paycheck to paycheck to being a community that is planning and building for the future. And along the way, we've had some fun. We built a couple new parks, and we reinvented the transit system, complete with a new trolley. 2 weeks ago, the world voted on something that we in this room already knew. This place is something very special. We have been preparing and building for this moment in time. The future of Chillicothe has never been brighter, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. I believe that I have the experience, the results, and the vision to be the leader that takes this community into the future. That's why I'm running for re-election, and that's why I'm asking for your vote this fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Question, Mayor Feeney?
Mayor Feeney, you've already touched on this, but how is Chillicothe preparing to meet the challenge of being a World Heritage Site?
Well, I will say that the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Ross County Chamber of Commerce and the commissioners in the city started this planning 20 years ago. That's the only way we got to where we are today. And I think that the key is continuing to work together. You saw the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the commissioners, and the city invest in wayfinding, and we are continuing to think about ways that we can receive people and prepare for that growth. The transit system reinvention is one of those ideas. We went from being a transit system that was only thought of as being something that was for low-income folks, and now it has been reinvented into something that is fun and exciting and accessible for anybody that comes to visit our town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kevin Shoemaker, who is candidate for council president.
I just recognized biblically the last shall be first and all of that. So since I'm the last, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot here. The other thing I want to say is the reason that I got involved in looking at running is because local government is the most important thing that any citizen can do. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having everyone here tonight. I want to thank the candidates. And I want to thank you. The only thing that really separates us from the countries that we deplore and that we dislike is the fact that we get to have elections. And as I looked at City Council, I said to myself, I'm the fifth of 8 children, and I think that I have the experience to try to bring people together since I had to do it at my house since the time I was born. But the most important thing is please get out and vote. Whether you vote for me or you vote for my opponent or you vote for certain offices and not others, the most important thing you can do to help this city is to get out and make your voice heard. And I'd appreciate it if you all get out and do that here in November. Thanks.
Question for Kevin Shoemaker.
Yes, what do you see as the most important function of the president of council, and what will be your contribution in this role?
There are two quick things. The one thing is to try to make sure that we follow the proper procedures for city council. So often things happen and we haven't followed the procedures, and then we have to go back and try to fix things later. I also think it's very important that we make sure that we broadcast for the citizens the council meetings as well as committee meetings if we can do it. Because it's important for folks who can't get out and get to those meetings to have the opportunity to actually see what's going on and to have a voice. Because when it's all said and done, when we talk about public servant, the public should not be an annoyance. The public is an important part of what we do. And that's what I look to do, is to bring people together and make sure we let the public be involved in working on all of our issues at the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we will call you back up in reverse order, beginning with Kevin Shoemaker. I should have said that before you left. Sorry, Kevin.
I'm well aware that training for council, and some of it is legal, some of it is procedural, is a critical part of learning to be on council. In what ways will you encourage new council members to attend proper training, including the Ohio Municipal League?
Well, I think it's really, really important, because all of the rules that we're talking about that relate to the training that you're speaking about is to make sure the public does have a voice and the public does have a say. So the Sunshine Law, so we have open meetings, public records so that people can get them. I have worked as special counsel for several attorneys general, both Republican and Democrat, on all of those kinds of issues. And I think it's important for me to talk to the individuals on city council to explain to them why this isn't something that they have to do, it's something that they ought to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Luke Feeney.
Mayor Feeney, you've been mayor now for 2 terms, seeking a third, and you no doubt have spoken to voters in this campaign and campaigns before. But one of the concerns I hear most often from folks is safety. And I cited those crime stats earlier today, and there was a relevant example just in council last week where there were multiple complaints filed against a nuisance property. A child, 1-year-old, overdosed, had to have hospital care. Our brave law enforcement members cleaned that up, but those examples are something citizens obviously feel every day. So do you think the citizens, most particularly in the 4th, 6th, and 3rd wards, but also across the city and in assets like our city parks, feel safe?
I absolutely think our citizens feel safe. I think that when I look across the city of Chillicothe, just yesterday I was in Chillicothe High School talking to a history class, and 4 of the students in that class were from Columbus, and they had somehow all moved to Chillicothe. And I asked them, what's the biggest difference between Chillicothe and Columbus? And they said 2 things. One is they felt like there was a lot more to do in Columbus, but the other thing was that they said they felt so much safer here in Chillicothe. So I think the thing that happens in Chillicothe is that it's a small community. We all know each other, we all chat, we send Facebook messages. And so we know what happens, and that's a good thing because information spreads. But when you really look and dive down into the data that is not Walmart thefts, but the data that is safety and it's personal and it's about violence, we are one of the safest communities in the state, and it's a drastic contrast from some of the bigger communities. I think we can always do more, but I think this is a very safe community, and I will defend our law enforcement on that position every time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Feeney. And Jade Berry.
So, Ms. Berry, as in most communities, affordable housing is a major concern. How can you, as mayor, improve the ability or the availability of affordable housing?
That's a great question. I've actually been doing a lot of research about that. I think where we start is thinking of the utilization of the properties that we already have in our reach and the investors that we have in our reach. Lots of time people have money that they would invest in these things, they just don't know what to do with it. And partnership among those investors is probably the best and quickest way we could think of to get started in that reach, but also research that other cities have done. There's people who have done it millions of different ways, different cities that have done it millions of different ways, bigger cities that have done it in other ways that we could scale it to our smaller town. But I'm all about not reinventing the wheel. And there are brilliant people all over this state, this country, who have done this well, and we can learn from them. So.
Thank you very much. You can have a seat, and you can just stay right here. There's no reason to go back. I'm going to let Robin Brewster go. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your participation.
Wow, thank you so much to everyone who came. Citizens, thank you. Candidates, thank you. And lovely leaguers who put this all together, thank you. I also want to thank the media people. If you were part of putting all these wires together, just stand up, please. Or just wave. Yeah. You guys, yeah. Thank you so much. Also, Bart has told me that this will be televised on CHS TV. Yeah. So this will be, do you know when it will? No, we don't know when, but we will also have copies on our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel and our website. So we'll have it for you. If you need it, just look up the Chillicothe-Ross County League of Women Voters on Facebook, and you can find out where to find the video. So. And share with others. That's right. That's exactly right. Again, thanks for coming. Tomorrow, one of our lovely leaguers, Lauren, told me, and Don, thank you. They suggested I remind everyone tomorrow at 2:20 p.m. there will be emergency testing. So when your phone goes off, don't be freaked out, because everyone's is going to go off, I think. So, it will say, I know, it will say, you know, this is not a real emergency. So, to my understanding, it will go off on your cell phone. And if you're in the car driving, if you have your radio on, it'll probably go off on your radio and your cell phone. So, yeah, so we just wanted to just remind everyone. So, and if you need any more information about that, it's on FEMA. If you just get on their website, they have some information about that. So, all right, thanks again.
Vote November 8th.
And vote November 8th. Yeah. November 7th. Thank you, David.
November 7th. Oh, I said it wrong. November 7th. Keep it, yeah, that's it. Don't go, don't do that. And please go and eat.
Great to meet you.